thank you so much to be here, especially on that pretty late time and after the raffle. So congrats to who won it. I'm really happy about that. And actually, yeah, I gave talks on how to survive conferences as an introvert, but I don't think I needed it here because you're cute, you're warm, and I'm so grateful to be here and to be with you guys. So there's another point where I was a little worried because some people consider me that testing person. And I'm at a UI conference, so of course, testing is important for front-end development as well. But can I get a little link to design? Can I make it interesting and pretty enough for you guys? Especially as it's sometimes a little boring-ish or DevOps-like, I don't know. Well, I do think I can do that. I hope I can convince you that I was able to do that. So let's get visual together today. Well, before that real quick, some small facts about me. As already said, I'm a developer advocate at Auth0 by Okta, but at the same time, I'm a front-end developer, and I was working at an open source e-commerce provider for around 8 years, actually. But not only as a front-end developer, I started as a quality engineer, so combining all those 3 roles, maybe, that makes me a little more calm to get onto that stage or basically stumble upon that stage because I'm hella clumsy, but I didn't hurt myself, everything's fine, everything's fine. So yeah, I'm that testing person. I'm known for testing. So let's dive into it. So testing at a UI conference. While I was drawing that talk, I was like, okay, what errors can I showcase to you which could be of interest for both of you guys? May it be a developer, may it be a designer, may it be a quality engineer, or basically anyone being here. So the first thing which came into my mind were UI bugs. So all those little annoying white noise bugs, as I like to call them, that are not that important, right? And inside of me it cringes right now because, well, who of you guys were at least once triggered by ugliness, by typos, by rendering issues? Oh, it's so wonderful that I'm not alone here. And it gives me a little more confidence that I have actually something interesting to show for you guys. So, yeah, at some point I opened my smartphone, there was a notification, and I saw that one. Oh, wow. Well, you see this little screen, you see this little, string text, keine Mitteilungen, or in English, it's no notifications, like around there. And it's a little broken, right? And it was my own iPhone, and I needed to take a look at it, and I hated it. That's not the only point where I can find UI issues, small little bugs, which just look broken. It happens to lots of bigger companies. Take Google, where you have a button at the wrong location, see here? I don't think it's meant to be there, right? Or Facebook, having a button with the wrong padding, like, there you go. I don't like that. I'm triggered, and oh my God, I'm so sorry. I don't want to use that word lightly, but yeah, I don't like that. And it's not my inner perfectionism. I'm sorry, I'm still a perfectionist. I hope to get rid of that, but it's more than that, because I wonder one thing. If you see such an application, would you trust those apps? Would you enter your credit card data in a shop, for example, where you find lots of UI issues, which shows to you basically that they have no sign of care for their application, for their website, right? Nah, I don't think so. So, yeah, UI issues are important. Even if they are not release blockers, you should fix them. But of course, I don't want to blame you, because we are all humans. We are under pressure. We might have a deadline to hit. And sometimes we just focus on our work, our job, our task, or the feature, like our complete headspace is filled with our implementation, with our design, with whatever we are about to do right now. So we will overlook some things. That's completely normal. Because there's a phenomenon in psychology, which is called unintentional blindness, basically, or inattentional blindness. And it is showcased in many, in universities and articles on lots of occasions. So I put a little QR code with a video on it, which you could take a look later on because we don't have that much time, but it's the famous Whodunit by Do the Tests, which is basically a campaign for traffic in the UK, where they play around with this little phenomenon pretty well. And it basically says, persons like to fail to notice unexpected stimulus, which is, neutrally seen, it's pretty obvious, but we just don't see it because of a lack of attention and not because we are blind or we have visual deficits or something. Another important, well-known example is maybe, a video where you try to count ball passes. So there's a group of people passing balls to one another, and we need to count them. And, that taught me that many people don't see the gorilla walking in. Well, it's completely normal, but it's completely normal in your daily doing too, because my designer friend told me he built his banner, he built a wonderful design, and he was so focused he didn't see the big typo in his title. Who's the one to blame? Nobody. But still, that doesn't make it better, right? We need to solve this situation at some point or the other. So you could ask myself now, or basically ask the same question. When it comes to human errors or shortcomings, shouldn't test automation save us from it? We have unit tests, we have integration tests, end-to-end tests, whatever test, you name it. Shouldn't that protect us from ourselves? And sure it does, but there's one catch, one really important catch. Because tests will only test what they are supposed to do. So only the things you write down specifically in the lines of code you use for your test automation, for example, or inside of your concepts if you are designing a feature. They won't look left or right, especially end-to-end testing will not do that. If you don't write it down inside of one line of code, it will be disregarded, so really focused. Everything outside of the concept might go to waste and might go unnoticed. But don't worry, I don't want to be like the messenger of bad news or something, because there's still something we can do. And to put it into simple terms, we want to give our tests eyes. Well, something we as a human are doing automatically. So, packaged in words, we want to do visual testing. But, I always talk about visual testing to get visual. But what does that exactly mean? What is that in detail? And I like to use one of my childhood hobbies to explain what visual testing really is. So, imagine a spot the difference puzzle. I guess some of you guys did such a thing in those drawing books we had when we was a kid. And I guess that's beside of my poster because I was too clumsy to have exactly the same picture of me, so I'm sorry. But I guess you already saw some little differences. I intended to have 3 in it. So the first one, it's basically this little penguin here. So it was an elephant, it became a penguin. Second one, the box in the background here, it was white and it became gray, sorry. And last but not least, my glasses. So the glasses I wear today are the ones in the second picture, not in the first. And while preparing this thought, I saw a fourth one. So the little embroidered logo on my wrist disappeared, and I have no idea why it did. I was a little unintentional, maybe. So yeah, those spots the different puzzle are really easy for us humans because we know how that works. We can spot differences without taking a task for it or getting an explicit description of what to do. Well, this is exactly what we want to teach the computer to do for us. So we want to have a computer doing spot the difference puzzles. Like finding those little differences, like the save button, which I scribbled a little bit, but to use unromantic words, we want to have a screenshot comparison with some more benefits, with a little sugar so we don't get annoyed by them. Yeah, we want to teach the computer to see what's correct. And then having like a basic screenshot, let's call it status quo, which says, okay, this state of my application is right. And when it comes to have a new pull request, a new feature, a bug fix, we will do another screenshot and compare them. And then we want to know if there's a difference. And that's basically it, with some little sugar, some little magic in it. Yeah, so when we have such a notification of a computer that there's a difference we need to take care of, the test will not decide for us if it's correct, like if we build a new feature, if we introduce a new button, if we change some colors, which is a visible difference, but something we intended to have, or if it's an actual UI bug. So yeah, in this regard, we still need a human for us to judge that. And that's fine, and I think that's good, even if there's some AI already introduced in some tools. Like in Apply tools, you could use that. They have some small AI integration, but there are other tools you could take a look at to have such a screen comparison so you don't need to take care of the sugar, basically. Like Percy, Chromatic by Storybook, there are plenty of those. There are even some open source integrations. And as I have a background in open source, I like to use one open source library as an example, but I try to be agnostic, especially when it comes to code snippets. So everything I say could be done by all those tools, could be done by all testing frameworks, but I needed to go for one example. And as I'm a Cypress ambassador, I went to Cypress, but that's the only reason. You are fine with everything. So what is the open source library I like to use for visual testing? Let's take a look at the visual regression tracker. I included a little QR code if you want to take a look at the GitHub repository later on. But I shared the slides too, so don't worry about that. Well, it's a tool for managing the results of visual tests. So it gives you the difference, which it was caught, and then you can decide if you want to accept it because it was intentional, or if you want to reject it because it was a UI bug and people need to work on it. So yeah. It is automation framework independent, so you could use it with Cypress, Playwright, Selenium, you name it. But well, as said, it's well suited for Cypress. I will go for Cypress for today. And I do like it not only because it's open source, but also because I can self-host it, and it runs with Docker, and I like Docker. So, in order to install it, let's go through that real quick. You will download their installation script, and you can just run it, and then you have this little backend service, to call it like that, where you have those screenshot comparison, where you can do rejections or approvals. And when it comes to the Testerize integration, it's a Cypress plugin, so you can install it like any other plugin with your favorite package manager, being npm. Don't worry, I won't download the internet for today. We can do it later on. But download it and then import the commands to the command file in Cypress, like you used to when it comes to introducing plugins to your test automation. And then we just need to use it inside of our tests. And it's just one line of code. It's just one custom command for Cypress. So, for example, you see here where I basically try to introduce or try to capture a screenshot of the complete page, the complete website which is opened right now. But if I want to encapsulate the screenshot to a single element, for example, you can do this too if you change this. Like you get the element beforehand, so like Cypress, please give me the element I want to have a screenshot of, and then do the screenshot. And that's it. Then you got it going. Pretty easy, actually. And if we do such a visual testing execution, you could take a look at the results like that. So this is a little screenshot of this. Let's call it like screenshot comparison workflow or approval workflow. And at the left side, you have the status quo screenshot, so the way it should look like. This is a small kitchen sink example page by Cypress. And at the other side, on the right side, there's the new screenshot of the change I want to introduce, for example. And as you see there, there's a menu still open, which is a difference in the UI, at least when it comes to comparing those screenshots. And last but not least, we can say, okay, do we approve it? Then we will enable this little toggle here. or we will reject it. And then the pipeline will be red, the developer will be sad, he cannot merge it. But like us as a designer, as a quality engineer, we will be happy because we didn't introduce a new bug. And I guess in the long run, the developer will be happy too because he's not to blame. Well, sometimes those differences can be really small. For example, if a text is missing or something. So if you want to have a more obvious representation of the difference, you can highlight it with those red color here. Yeah. So basically, this is one like approval or rejection workflow of visual testing. And as said, it's not only important for developers who will be happy because they can raise the quality of their implementations. They don't need to take care of all the side effects, and they can focus on their task without having any additional headspace on what to cover besides the prioritized test cases. I could give another talk on when to write tests and when not, but I don't want to bother with you right now. But for designers, it might be an interesting way on doing design QA, for example. So if the developer introduces a new feature, you can have your eyes everywhere. You can see what he did and basically be safe about it. And of course, the quality engineers don't need to test the complete application again and again and again and again because they cannot exclude side effects. So all three roles are happy, hopefully, or at least a little less stressed. And if that happens, I'm already happy myself. Because when there's light, there's already shadow. I don't want to say like visual testing is wonderful, you don't need to worry about anything. I had some bad experiences myself, and I will be honest with you guys, it's the reality filter. And if you want to take a look at visual testing, you should at least have some small tools to counter some obstacles. Is too negative, I think, but maybe challenges. Challenges is great. So when it comes to challenges, how to tackle them without getting mad or don't have any sleep or being sad like I was, well, things happen. So top 3 of my pitfalls when it comes to visual testing, and I guess people who do some testing will know what I'm talking about if I say that timing issues are pain and can drive people mad, and at least when it comes to myself. And visual testing is not an exception at all. So, well, example could be maybe the situation you have a dashboard with some statistics, some numbers, some dates. And that's the point, because especially visual testing will be executed in some intervals. May it be daily, may it be weekly, may it be all 2 hours. And there's one point which is normal, because the flow of time is normal, right? And it will pop up in your application, which means some text, some numbers will change, and that means it is a difference. You will get a notification, you will be like, Visual Regression Tracker will say to you like, oh, I detected a difference. And you're like, wow, it's normal. Time is passing by. I don't want to be notified by such natural changes, right? So, how can we deal with such time issues without being annoyed by Visual Regression Tracker or any tool? The easiest way of tackling it is a little faking or a little mocking. And yeah, I know mocking E2E tests is a thing, but in this case, you are just like pretending as if you have the same date every day. So we will define it as, let's say it 1st of January 2018, and use the Cypress command clock to set it client-side. In this case, you will have the same time over and over and over and over again, which means that the time will be like show the way it is defined here and not like changing on a daily basis or something like that. So no difference, no notification, no annoyances. Top 2. Who knows this quote? It's from a little story which is kind of old. I guess it's the 6th century or something, by Aesop. And it says, a liar will not be believed even when he speaks the truth. And it's from a story of a boy who took care of a flock of sheep and was bored because nothing happened. And he did some pranks on the villagers. So he was like, oh, there's a wolf attacking the sheep, please come to help. And of course they come. They see there's no wolf and they are disappointed and leave. And he does it one too many times, because at that point when actual wolves will come and attack the sheep, nobody will come to protect them or save them. So the boy actually lost the flock of sheep because nobody believed him anymore if he says, oh, there's a wolf coming. And I love to use this allegory to showcase testing, or better to say, the problem of flakiness in testing. So imagine a test build which is passing, and then failing. And again passing, and then failing, and passing, and you have no reliability in it. You cannot trust those results because they seem to be random, and of course they are passing if you take a look at them, like the Heisenberg or Heisenfail, which only occurs if you walk away or look away. So there's some flakiness in visual testing too. It's easier to spot because it's, often triggered by loading times again. So timing again. What is, if there's a loading spinner sometimes popping up in my UI screenshots, triggering a difference because the loading indicator was not there before? What happens if an element is not ready or not already rendered yet, not loaded completely? Is my application ready to be photographed? And this is something we can fight pretty simple by using the assertions. So we need to make sure that all load times has been completed, the appropriate UI changes has been made, and all of those need to be done before you do the snapshot, before you take a picture, right? And doing that, it's easy to use the assertions your test framework provides you. Because sometimes, at least when it comes to Playwright or Cypress, they have an automatic wait in it. So they wait, and will only proceed when it's done, when it's good. So try to use them, like doing an assertion that a loading spinner will disappear. Will save you lots of time. Okay, last but not least, and a little more connected to the timing one, it's false negative. So you will get a notification, a difference, when there's none. And my favorite example is this one. It's took by the shopware software where I was working for 8 years for, and it looks like a normal loading, login form, right? But the image here is the issue because it is randomly picked from a pool of images which is dependent on the day or the time of the day. So every little execution, I had a new picture in it, which is obviously a difference. And I don't want to be notified by such natural difference because I know they occur. And in this case, you can use some functions of the visual regression tracker or even Percy, like ignoring complete areas, which is a little careful to see because, you will ignore it then. And if there's an invalid error, you will be ignoring it too. But you could think about it when it comes to rendering issues, for example, change the pixel threshold, like how sensitive it should be. And if this is not enough, you could even interfere with your test. And still, this is mocking intensified because I go here, I will invoke some styling, so it's always the same image displaying in this login form. But still, I think in this case it's okay because it gives back control to you, and I can still cover it with the test. So if there's no image loaded because of an error, I will have other tests catching it. And another thing which is important in that regard, documented, so fellow developers or fellow test engineers or designers know that it's normal that it's always the same picture. Okay, so our tests are no detective, no matter if it's Cypress, like here, Sherlock Cypress, pretty cool. It can be the Playwright mask too, or I'm not sure if I can build a wonderful Sherlock Selenium because I tried it out with a logo, it didn't work. But still, we have wonderful tests now which act a little more the way we humans do. And this can be a lifesaver because you don't need to take care of side effects anymore, no matter if you are a developer, a designer, or a tester. So, if there are 4 things I want you to remember from this talk, it's those one. Please try to give your tests eyes. So, teach it to test beyond its given path, beyond its concept. And yeah, picture it like a spot the difference puzzle. Well, visual testing can achieve that through a little screenshot comparison, which is, with a little sugar, so you will not be bothered by false negatives so much. It's okay to interfere with your test if you cannot get consistent screenshots because of date changes, and they can be read-only, which is even worse, or images or whatever, loading spinners. And last but not least, if you do design QA, try to consider it too. Try to ask your developers to introduce visual testing to help you have your eyes everywhere. And basically focus on those tasks which are more important to you, like designing wonderful experiences and not always like running behind developers and trying to make them do the right thing. Well, I hope I was able to showcase like a little testing story to you, which could be interesting not only for developers, but also for designers and testers. And well, if you want to know more, I hope you used Slido for some questions, but I will be around here somewhere. You can find me on the known platforms like Twitter or X or whatever, Mastodon, Blue Sky, LinkedIn, or like there's a little QR code for my homepage if you want to find me there. And there's a little newsletter on identity topics in which I will basically contribute. And we'll let you know in case of other events where I will be a speaker or an attendee. And apart from that, I guess, I hope I gave you a wonderful time. I hope I can see you later. I hope I can hear from some experiences of the 1 or 2 of you guys. And if not, I'm happy to be here, and thank you so much for listening. Thank you.